So let's bring Tommy Greene, Comcast Sportsnet, post-game. Of course, pre- and post-game over the weekend, and he got a chance to see this team. Finally, Tommy, they brought you in, and we saw some good baseball, so you brought the good vibes.
I don't know about that, but it was good to see him go, trend in the right direction.
Sure was, and let's get your opinion, because I saw the post-game you were doing the day Ben Lively pitched, and I really was interested to get your take on this kid, because the Phillies have a parade of young pitchers, and he's one of these guys we've been hearing a lot about. What impressed you about this kid's makeup, going out there and making his debut?
Well, the book on him is, he's sort of a bulldog out there where nothing rattles him. He was pretty confident. He didn't seem nervous at all. It was great to see the first pitch he threw was a strike, and you could see him take a deep breath. He knew that the anxiety was there a little bit, but he took the deep breath. He says, all right, it's over with. And then after that, he did what he was he lived up to what the scout report said. He attacks the zone. He comes at you, and with his assortment of pitches, and he threw a lot of fastballs and moved it in and out, commanded it, and pitched to contact. And that's he didn't strike out anybody, and he's got it through it. I guess he's got it through his head, because he's had a lot of success over the past year and a half or so about pitching to contact and not really caring about the strikeouts, and so to speak.
Tommy, what is it about certain pitchers that, they're down in the minors and they're having a good year, and but they're not overly dominating, but then they come up and that they succeed, and yet other guys are down there and they look like they're dominating, and then they get up here and they struggle? What is it? Is that mental? Is it what is it about the makeup of some guys that dominate AAA, come up and can't perform, or are so in AAA and then come up and they have it?
That's a good question. I can draw off my own experience in that, and it's not that I, pitched in the minor leagues. I had success some, and I had some failure some. It's all about the maturation process for each guy. Some guys are younger than others. Some guys are coming out of a four-year program or a college program, and they're prepared to move pretty quick, and others are high school guys that move through the organization, but still the maturation process about pitching against this caliber of people, has to sink in. And sometimes you're on teams that don't win, don't hit, and in the minor leagues, and of course they're trying to develop guys, and they're using guys in different ways, and they're trying to develop them rather than worrying about necessarily winning ball games. But I've seen it happen. It happened to me. I tended to win when I was in the big leagues, but you get around. I credit mine was more of the maturation process and believing in myself and believing in my ability a little bit more when I got up here. I got up here on pure talent and pure stuff, and then it's about believing in yourself that you can stay here and have some success to help you with that. Now, I think the Phillies organization, what I see in some of their pitching, what I've seen so far, I see a lot of guys that throw similar, far as starting pitcher wise. But you got a guy throwing a night Pavetta. I liked his stuff, and when he first came up, it was all about him having a little bit of success and getting over that hump and winning a ball game and that type of thing and having some success. But I think his stuff plays real well up here, and it's all about him just having a little bit of success. And sometimes, with the way our offense has been, it's hard to score runs, and it's hard for these starting pitchers to get wins when they do pitch well, but we haven't pitched well that much over the past month or so, So, that's the thing we're battling as a team, far as, the Phillies a little bit, is that consistency factor as a starter pitcher aspect. And as they have improved offensively since last year. So, but it still comes down to the consistency of things, And I heard you talking about Herrera. It's the same thing with him. I think his is more focus oriented. I touched on that when he faced Cueto the other day when he come back off his short rest that Pete gave him. I think he got a little bit more focused, and you had to be focused against somebody like Cueto because you're a quick pitcher. You change his deliveries. You have to pay attention. You just can't get set in the same old ways. And I think that kind of helped him a little bit and allowed him to do some things because he's got great hands and he can make contact when he focuses in and does what he needs to do. And I think that carried over with him yesterday a little bit. Had a little bit of success the day before, and he got some pitches, and he didn't miss them. And that's the key. That's the key to hitting. You get good pitches, you don't foul them off. You hit them.
Tommy Greene's with us, ex-Phillies pitcher and Phillies Comcast pre and post as the Phillies do win a series for the first time since late April. Pete Buchanan able to finally breathe a sigh of relief. So you're talking about Odubel Herrera, Tommy, and that's what I wanted to ask you. Are you starting to see him turning things around? Are you starting to see positives out of Odubel Herrera that maybe justifies that long contract they gave him? Or were there signs of him turning around?
Well, I mean, anytime you start doing what he did in the past couple of days, he's got the ability to play here. There's no doubt about it. You saw it last year. Him changing positions, and and learning center field how much he's improved at that since they put him out there. Shows you what type of athlete he is, and his great attribute are his hands. He can. And last year was a indication of that. When he had him leading off a game, man, he worked. I mean, he fouled off pitches and worked pitches and and that type of thing. That you don't see that often. He did it on a consistent basis. But it also allowed him to get fooled. And to slap balls around everywhere and possibly get some hits and some things. But I don't think he really got going off in the right direction this season. It was sort of like I don't know if what I was seeing, maybe just the air I'm getting about him, the swagger. He knows he can play here, and it was just that focus issue, I think. And, because this game's got a crazy way, sort of like golf, it's got a crazy way to bring you back down to earth and humbling you a little bit. And then you find out what people are made of when they go through these times a little bit. And hopefully we're seeing those signs of him coming out of it because he does look a little bit more focused in that.
How about your take on the young Phillies? Because we hear so much about the Phillies struggling. They need to bring up the young kids. Do you want to see some younger players come up and join that big league team, or do you think they should stick with what they have up now? Does Matt Klentak need to make a drastic move?
Well, I mean, they do have young kids up here, and they've had some kids that have had a little bit of success with Tommy Joseph, and Altair, and I'm obviously with Franco, and Galvis is still young. He's not old, but he's the longest tenured guy, and Hernandez, he's got the ability. He's over the past, really, it's almost a year now. He's been up there and really took off and hitting around 300 and finding ways to get on base, just like yesterday. But it's what's so good about having a farm system that is good. It pushes these guys to get better up here, and if they do struggle, and they're not doing what they need to do, we got somebody that can come up here. And it also gives us the ability, so to speak, if we feel like we're right there, we got the ability to pull off a trade or something and have guys come up and fit right in, and do that type of thing. And add a big piece that really helps the organization. But they got to find out what they got here first, and they got to play these guys. That's why, we sort of hit on it yesterday a little bit about with, Altair sort of starting to struggle a little bit. And do you play him or Saunders? Yeah, you're paying Saunders, $8 or $9 million for the year, but the guy that needs to play is Altair. And he needs to see what we can do with him. And you got to find out what these guys can do to find out what you need, that type of thing. So I understand why they're playing the guys like that, because you might be able to pull off a trade or get something for somebody at the deadline. If Kendrick and Saunders and the guys are playing well.
Tommy Greene, Phillies pre- and post-game live. Of course, the Phillies win 2 out of 3. Finally, some positive vibes around that team. Herrera with a nice weekend, and as Tommy chronicled, Ben Lively came up and pitched really well for the Phils, and we'll see if they get Nick Pivetta on the mound tonight. It is raining very hard here down the shore. We'll see if they can get that one in at the ballpark tonight. But Tommy, great work over the weekend. We appreciate you jumping on and giving us a couple minutes.
Hey, no problem, man. Anytime.